10, 20, 30, 35 pounds. There we go. 35 pounds. I was counting my money the other day and trying to work out how much I'm worth. You know, it's quite useful to know, isn't it, what you're worth. And then, of course, I remembered that these things are just promissory notes. And I've been told by a number of people that whatever you buy with these promissory notes, of course, you're not actually buying it yourself, that you're using somebody else's monetary system or currency, if you like, and so that you don't own any of it. So the thing you're using, you still haven't actually bought it because you're using somebody else's printed promissory notes, bits of paper, well, plastic, laminated, whatever it is, this strange old stuff. And that actually, this isn't really money in the same way, even though we say, and I've got a sign up here, which side is it here, saying cash is king. But is it really king? And what with the advent of CBDCs, the central bank digital currency, and that we're buying stuff in this or not buying stuff because it's a promissory note. And as we know that the financial world is collapsing all around, perhaps we should be thinking of something a little bit different than just these sort of things. And although paying, if you like, with these things is quite useful because nobody else knows what you're doing. You know, you've got a cow. I want to buy the cow for some meat, and I can buy whatever you say it is. I can pass you these notes, and if you'll accept these promissory notes, you might give me the cow. But all trust and faith in all of this, I mean, this is what commerce is about, isn't it? Whereas in the old days, as I understand it, we used to trade. We would trade. It was in the private. Nobody need know about it, but you were trading like for like. The thing that you were trading for the other thing had value. These don't intrinsically have any value. They're just bits of paper. They've got numbers on them, and they've got this, I promise to pay. But it's not me promising to pay anything, is it? I haven't promised to pay. I'm giving you what you've asked for, but these aren't really mine to give away because they're printed and I haven't bought these. It's not like I went in and said, oh, can I have a big load of paper, please, with numbers on it and different colours and pictures of the Queen or the King or whoever else we've got on there, and I'll pay with this, maybe gold or silver or a cow or whatever it might be. 16 chickens. How many chickens do I get for one? I didn't pay for the, I mean, I suppose I did in my labour, you know, by giving my time and effort in a job, and then somebody gives you these and you go, are these really worth that day's labour? Whatever, you know, bits of paper with words on it, is that really what it's worth? And is that what we're jumping about a bit? Of course, digital currency, the CBDCs, is even worse because that's then programmable, and everything you do is surveilled by whomever is in control of those CBDCs, and they'll know whatever you want. And of course, as we know, they can stop and start with things. So maybe this money business is a bit more complicated than we thought. Now, I know a lot of people were saying, but you need cryptocurrency, you know, things like Bitcoin, or there are a myriad, it seems to me, of other Bitcoins. And I got somebody coming on the show to talk about Bitcoin again, because there seems to be so many variants of Bitcoin, whether it's BTC or BSV or I don't know, lots and lots of things. And in the end, to me, it sounds a bit like the old Betamax and VHS wars, where one particular system is better than another system, and how do you know? And in the end, most people go with one system only to discover it wasn't the best system. That's in the if you remember your VHS and your Betamax days. But anyway, never mind all that. Things that are valuable, it seems to me, are things like this. Gold. Here's some gold in various different guises. And you can do a quick search and you can see it comes in all sorts of bits and bobs. And it has some intrinsic value, mainly because it's relatively rare. It's expensive to get out of the ground. And people, for whatever reason, like it and want it. And so it has some commodity value to it, I suppose, so you can trade it. The same, I guess, is not that button, is the same with this one, silver. And as you can see here, silver has equal, where is it? It's that side, isn't it? I'm in the studio trying to do this. Silver has equal merit. Look at that down the side there in different shapes. And I think what we're going to end up doing is having to go to some sort of system in which we are, if we want to be away from the government or the money lenders, the people who, the Bank of England, for example. The Bank of England is a private company. It's a bank called of England. We think of it as being our bank because if you live in England, you think of it, well, it's our bank. But they're deceiving you really by the name of it. It's just of England, but it isn't really our bank. It's not the government's bank. It's a private company that the government does business with, and they conjure this stuff up out of nowhere. Well, that means it's pretty worthless, really. But don't tell anybody because we've all got pocket loads of this or bank loads of it, or we're desiring it, and yet it's actually no good. So I've got a feeling that in the future, as we're approaching this financial problem, and you might have your own views, and I welcome those views in the comments, I think we've got to be our own bankers in the end. We've kind of, again, with so many things, we've allowed everybody else to take responsibility for us. We just keep acquiescing. Oh, you do that for us, and you do that, and surely the council should do something about this, or the council should do something about, or the government should be responsible for that, and the government, and we've lost complete control of our own lives and what we should be doing, and so we've kind of gone, oh, I've got some money, and I should keep it and put it into the bank, and then the bank turn around and say, well, actually, what you've done is you've deposed your money with us and you've effectively given it to us. We have the right then to give it to you back if we want to, but it might come with a whole few things attached to it. Whereas if we had our own money, let's say, I'm using gold and silver as an example, but you might be your chickens. If people are very hungry and there's no food about, your chicken suddenly has a lot of value, and that value will go up and down depending on how hungry you are, how much you want that chicken, or how much you're prepared to get rid of the chicken, or whatever, and so it becomes a commodity that is wanted. Now, in a stable society where there's plenty of food, your chicken is probably only going to be worth one meal or two meals or a family meal or whatever. But so it'll go up and down. But it is a commodity. It depends if somebody wants to trade with you. And I think that's what we're going to end up doing, if we're clever, is that we want to get rid of this stuff, which is all pretense, and we all believe in it. But it's this promise to pay that we've bought our houses on the basis that but it's not even ours. And does that mean that our houses are not really ours, or our cars, or everything that we've got? Will we own nothing and be happy? Or will we actually get hold of some gold or silver or other commodities, or make things, pieces of art, whatever it might be, hutches for dogs, who knows? People who've got power of making something from raw materials with their hands can create something completely new and original, which if other people want it or need it, like a roof for their house, for example, then we are able to trade, and no one can take that away, because that is something that has been born out of nothing, and that person owns it absolutely because they've taken raw ingredients and made something. But even gold and silver, people can trade with it. It has an intrinsic value, as I say, and will be very important. And I think that we, instead of having to have banks who loan us money that they make out of the thin air and then get us to pay back that same money that they've just invented, but with interest over 20, 30 years, we will start to actually realise that we need to be the bankers of ourselves. We need to take back responsibility for our own money, our own form of trading, and move away from this capitalist situation or communist situation or dictating situation where somebody else is in control and going, you're working for this. I don't want to work for this. It's useless. It's rubbish. It means nothing. It's just bits of paper with some drawings on. I mean, if it was an original piece of artwork on a bit of paper, that might have more value. But because they're printed in their millions, and it's just not. And at some point, I think this is going to come to the attention of most people. They'll realize, actually, this stuff has no intrinsic value. You can't eat it. You can't do very much with it. You need a lot of it to wallpaper your back wall with it. And even then, it doesn't look very good. So I think we need to start thinking about what we actually buy, how we start to trade once more with one another. And we really ought to be putting that into practice now, because when things crumble and fall apart and people go, well, I'm not taking this thing anymore because it's meaningless. Have we seen in different parts of the world where the money has crumbled down and people have been walking about with suitcases or wheelbarrows full of the stuff trying to get shot of it, and in the end all you can do is burn it and get a few moments of heat. And even this you can't burn very well, it just probably melt into a bit of a goo. So that I'd be interested in your thoughts on this. What should we do about the money situation? Because either we should have a moneyless society in which there's no money whatsoever and we simply help one another in a community environment, or we find ways to trade and barter again. I've got this, would you trade that for me? Again, private transaction, nobody need know about it. It's not somebody else's money that you've got from some bank with, of England, of America, of France, of anywhere else but here, of me. Let's be our own bank. I'm going to be the Bank of Vobes. Maybe that's the way forward. Let me know what you think in the comments. Is it something that you thought about? Are you worried about? Do you believe that Bitcoin is the way forward? As I say, was somebody going to talk more about that in the program? But I prefer, personally, something that is solid, that has intrinsic value, that you can see in the physical world and has not been conjured up like any kind of digital currency. But you may have different ideas, and I welcome reading them in the comments. Thanks for watching.